Hello. Shh. It's 5:10 on the 6th of November, and I've got my now yearbook, but I want to play it in the car. I'm on the way to Sutton Coldfield, so I thought I'm going to unbox it now. And that was my toast popping up for breakfast. See, you don't get that on top of the box, do you? So I'm just going to open it up. Bought from HMV again. Look at it, I love the colour. Absolutely love the colour. So we've got disc 1 there, disc 2, 3, 4. So we've got 85 disc 1, 85 disc 2 there. And of course we've got the 80 to 84 chapter coming up as well before the end of the year. Hopefully an announcement of 85 extra as well. There we go, that's that one. And then of course you've got the also available there, if you didn't know already. I'm just going to go like that to show you the back. Alright. I'm going to fold it in. I'm going to enjoy listening to this now. So that's what it looks like inside. I went for the standard release again. What does it sound like? What tracks are on it? Let's find out.
And we've got a big balloon. We don't normally have a big balloon, but it's my daughter's birthday. So do you know what? It makes it different, doesn't it? Anyway, the Now Yearbook review. So following my unboxing, I did listen to quite a lot of songs off this to and from Sutton Coldfield. It is absolutely brilliant. I'll go into the technical query that I've found in a little while. And I have contacted Now Music. I haven't had a reply at the moment, but if I do get one, I'll let you know. So disc 1 starts off with Queen's One Vision, reached number 7, released in November 1985. Then we've got Phil Collins, which of course we don't normally get solo Phil Collins stuff, but because this is a collaboration, I guess that's why we've got it. Philip Bailey and Phil Collins with Easy Lover, number 1 for 4 weeks, released in March 1985. We then got Eurythmics, of course, Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart, There Must Be an Angel Playing With My Heart, number 1 for just 1 week, released in July 1985. So there you go, you got 3 number 1s back to back, because the third of those is UB40 and Chrissy Hind, I Got You Babe, that was number 1 again just for a week, released in August 1985. So it's a very, very strong start to the first disc. We've then got Sting, If You Love Somebody, Set Them Free. Only reached number 26 in the charts, released in June 1985. I think it's a great song. I honestly thought it charted higher than that, but only got to number 26. We then have Midge-Ure, If I Was, number 1 for 1 week, released in September 1985. We've then got the fantastic Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which only got to number 2, released in March of 1985. We then have Aha, Take On Me, of course, an infamous video, only got to number 2, released in September of that year. We then have The Power Station with Some Like It Hot, got to number 14, released in March 1985. It has got one of my favourite artists of all time on, Robert Palmer, so I'm biased, I love that song. We have Go West then, with We Close Our Eyes, which reached number 5, released in February of 1985. Then we've got Dead or Alive, You Spin Me Round Like a Record, reached number 1, released in November 1984. It was number 1 for 2 weeks. It got to number 1, quite interestingly, in March 1985. So it was in the charts for a while, but I suspect that was because a lot of songs hung on because of Band-Aid being number 1. There you go. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, number 2, that got 2. That was released in March 1985. Before that, they'd had 3 number 1s in a row. So this was the end of that consecutive streak. Simple Minds then, Don't You Forget About Me, reached number 7, released in April 1985. Tina Turner, We Don't Need Another Hero, from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, I think it was called. So yeah, it got to number 3, released in July 1985. Then, onto the query I had, Phyllis Nelson, Move Closer, reached number 1. For just 1 week, released in February 1985. I think, and I know I've been on groups commenting on this, I think there's some kind of compression issues, some digital compression issues with Phyllis Nelson on this first disc. I've contacted Now Music, I haven't had a reply, but you have to play it, see what it sounds like. And I've had it quite loud to see what the sound is like on 2 different CD players. But when the chorus gets going, move closer, when she says, feel like we're really making love, there's a bit of, I can't describe it, there's a bit of kind of compression or feedback in the background that just doesn't quite sound right. And then when that line finishes, the feedback seems to move away again. But then it reappears when she repeats that line later in the song. See if anyone else has that same issue. As I say, I have mentioned it on groups, and people have said, "Oh, just clean your disc." And I've tried that; it still has the same problem. So if you've got the special edition, I'm curious. If you've got the vinyl, I'm curious what it sounds like. Maybe it's just the 2 CD players I've tried. But do let me know if Phyllis Nelson sounds okay in that bit I mentioned there. It's just on that one line. Feel like we're really making love. That's the only problem. Then we've got Brian Ferry with Slave to Love, which only got to number 10. That should have been way higher in the charts, released in May 1985. We then got Paul Young, Every Time You Go Away. Great tune, absolutely wonderful tune. Reached number 4, released in March 1985. We've got Nikita, Elton John, released October 1985 from his album Ice on Fire. U2 with The Unforgettable Fire, got to number 6, released in May 85. That concludes the first disc. There's a lot to get through. So then disc 2, we got Foreigner, number 1 with I Want to Know What Love Is. 3 weeks to the top of the charts, released in December 1984. Marillion, great tune. Kaylee, got to number 2, released in May 1985. Kind of got a resurgence in popularity thanks to Peter Kay's Car Share. Huey Lewis and the News, The Power of Love from the Back to the Future soundtrack, got to number 9, released in August 1985. We then got Bonnie Tyler, Holding Out for a Hero, which got to number 2, released in August. Pat Benatar, Love is a Battlefield. This is a really strong disc once again. Only got to number 17, this song, released in March 1985. We then got ZZ Top, Legs, only got to number 16, released in February. Billy Idol, White Wedding, great tune, got to number 6, released in July 1985. We then got John Parr, St. Elmo's Fire. Did you know John Parr was born in Worksop? Well, now you do. Got to number 6, released in September 1985. The strong disc 2 continues with Dan Hartman, I Can Dream About You. Got to number 12, released in August. Then we've got Maria Vidal with Body Rock. That got to number 11, released in August 85. DeBarge, Rhythm of the Night. That got to number 4, released in March 85. Steve Arrington got to number 5 with Feel So Real. That was released in April 85. Then one of my picks off the second disc has to be Ashford and Simpson, Solid. That got to number 3, released in November 84, but obviously hung around in the charts. Shaka Khan, This Is My Night. That got to number 14, released in January 85. Princess, Stott Aitken and Waterman one, I think that was. Number 7, that got to, released in August 85. Then we've got Loose Ends, Hanging on a String. That got to number 13, released in February 85. Amy Stewart, Friends. That got to number 12, released December 84. Kool and the Gang, Cherish. Great tune, got to number 4, released in May of that year. Then we have Whitney Houston, Saving All My Love for You. That was number 1 for 2 weeks, released in November 85. It wasn't the Christmas number 1, but it did get to number 1 at the end of the year. Just before Shaky, I think. Just before Merry Christmas, everyone. Final song off disc 2 is Lionel Richie, Say You, Say Me. That got to number 8, released in November 85. Disc 3, we've got Kate Bush, Cloud Busting, which got to number 20, released in October 85. Yes, we haven't had Running Up That Hill yet. We can only hope we get it on the 85 extra disc. Track 2, Smith's How Soon Is Now, got to number 24, released in February 85. The Cure, Close to Me, got to number 24, released in September 85. So a lot of indie tracks appearing on, and alternative tracks appearing on disc 3. We've got The Cult, She Sells Sanctuary, that got to number 15, released in May 1985. Then we've got The Art of Noise, which got to number 8 with Close to the Edit. released in November 84. Propaganda, Jewel, what a tune. Got to number 21. I thought I would have done better than that. Released in May 85. Then we've got Arcadia, Election Day. Got to number 7, released in October 85. Tears for Fears appear again with Shout, which got to number 4, released in December 84. Brilliant tune. Songs from the Big Chair, though, is a fantastic album. Howard Jones, Things Can Only Get Better. That got to number 6, released in February 85. Check out my Howard Jones album reviews on this channel. There's loads of them. Nick Kershaw got to number 9 with Wide Boy. Then we've got Stephen Duffy with Kiss Me, which got to number 4 in March 85. Redbox, Lean On Me. That got to number 3, released in August 85. I only discovered that song recently. And it is absolutely fantastic. I think it was my friend Paul Coates Black that picked it as one of his favourite songs of the 80s. It is brilliant. Then we've got King, Love and Pride, which got to number 2. Now, it was released in May 84 originally and didn't do very well. And then February 85, it was re-released. Scritti Politti next with The Word Go. That got to number 6 in May 1985. It was released. Simply Red, Money's Too Tight to Mention. What a song. I think it was from their first album, Picture Book. Got to number 13, released in June 85. Johnny Come Home, Fine Young Cannibals, that got to number 8, also released in June. Style Council, Walls Come Tumbling Down. I love the Style Council, love that tune. That got to number 6, released in May. Dream Academy, Life in a Northern Town, got to number 15. That was released in March 1985. Then we've got Bananarama, that you might not remember, Do Not Disturb. That got to number 31, released in August. And Strawberry Switchblade, Since Yesterday, that got to number 5, released in October 84, but it spent 21 weeks in the charts. Final disc, Paul Hardcastle, 19, number 1 for 5 weeks, released in May. Then we've got Harold Faltermeyer with Axel F, of course, the theme from Beverly Hills Cop. Got to number 2, released in March 1985. Then we've got Colonel Abrams, which would be one of my picks from Disc 4 with Trapped. Wonderful tune. Got to number 3, released in August 1985. I think it appeared on the Top of the Pops Christmas Day special from that year as well. Then we got a collaboration Bronski Beat with Mark Almond, I Feel Love and Johnny Remember Me. Got to number 3, released in April. We've got Divine, Walk Like a Man. Got to number 23. Thought it did better than that. Released in April 85. Baltimore, A Tarzan Boy. Got to number 3, released in August. Animotion with Obsession, that was released in May 1985. I think that got to number 5. Then we've got DC Lee, See the Day. That got to number 3, released in November 85. Sade with The Sweetest Taboo only got to number 31, but released in October. Then we've got Alison Moyet, That Old Devil Called Love. That got to number 2, released in March. That was also on the Top of the Pops Christmas Day special. I remember that one. We've got Fergal Sharkey, A Good Heart. Love that tune. Still a great one. Number 1 for 2 weeks, released in October. Katrina and the Waves, Walking on Sunshine. Only got to number 8. Some of you might have thought that did better than that. Released in April 85. Then we've got Sheila E., The Bell of St. Mark. That got to number 18, released in February. Level 42, great tune. Something About You. Got to number 6, released in September 1985. A Billy Ocean one that you might not remember called Loverboy got to number 15, released in January 85. Then we got 5 Star, All Fall Down. That got to number 15 as well, released in May. Sister Sledge with their number 1, Frankie. 4 weeks it was at number 1, released in May 85. And then another great one, Elaine Page and Barbara Dixon. I know him so well. And that was number 1 for 4 weeks, released in December 1984. I think it was from the musical Chess, I think. Then we've got Jennifer Rush, another number 1, The Power of Love. That was number 1 for 5 weeks. I think it was released in June 1985. And then the final song, Shaking Stevens, Merry Christmas Everyone, which was 2 weeks at number 1 in December 1985. And it was his first number 1 since Oh Julie in 1982. It was his last number 1 as well. So there you go. It is absolutely fantastic. Really, really impressed. Of course, the next one down on the list is the final chapter of the 1980 to 1984 years, which I'll be down to review in December. Don't you worry about that. That's it from me. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. I'll be back soon. Bye-bye.